Hey guys, welcome back to Mystifying Miracles. I've got a great story for you today about a young child who was born with a condition, and her mother tells the story of her survival, one, and then who she came to be as a little bit of an older child. So just a good story. So stay tuned and we'll dive in. All right, so Julie, she was the mother in this story, and she worked in an office setting in North Carolina. She was married, and there was this one coworker named Viola Williams, and Julie just got weird vibes about her, like she didn't talk much, and Julie just figured, oh yeah, I don't think Viola likes me very much. And she just kind of considered Viola the loner type. And Julie says there came a time where these little gifts began just showing up on her desk, and attached to them would be like a Bible verse. So slowly over time, Julie and Viola began talking, and she says that anytime they would have a conversation, Viola would find a way to add in scripture somehow to the conversation. Now, this went on, the story didn't say exactly for how long, but the ladies still didn't know each other very well at all. Also, Julie was almost to her due date. She was going to have a daughter. She already had the name picked out, Erica. And so her and her husband were getting excited about their first baby. Viola came up to Julie one day at work, and she asked her, hey, when you go into labor, can I come to the hospital with you? Now, right off the bat, Julie thought, that is a weird request. She barely knew Viola. Why is she asking this of me, And Julie would just try to discourage her, change the subject, things like that. But day after day, Viola wouldn't quit. She kept requesting. So it finally just pushed Julie to be like, okay, fine. When I go into labor, yes, you can come to the ER with me. Well, the day finally came. Julie goes to the hospital. Her husband also, but so does Viola. Viola goes as well. And Julie was in labor for 15 hours. Now, that is nothing. Side note, actually, my mother was in 27 hours, I believe it was, of labor with me. I was stubborn. What can I say? I still am, though. Anyway, back to the story. Julie is, going in labor for 15 hours. And Viola, she was there the whole time, praying and giving support. And whenever Julie's husband would need a break from the room to get a snack or go to the bathroom or whatever, Viola would take his place. She would go in, and Julie says she would Viola would put her hands on Julie's leg and just begin to pray, almost kind of under her breath. And so Julie thought, no, well, just let her do her thing. So that went on during this whole time. And for the life of her, Julie just could not understand. People have babies every day. Like, what's the big idea with all the prayer? She had had a normal pregnancy the whole 9 months, no troubles, issues, complications. So yeah, she was just confused why Viola was just praying so much during all this. Once Erica was finally delivered, Julie says that Viola was ecstatic, like she was exuberant and just like, this lady's not like that, right? She's very reserved and to herself. So for Julie to see that, she was just kind of like, you would have thought that Viola would have had the child. She was so happy. But nonetheless, things were great. Erica was doing well. And 4 months go by. It was at this time, after 4 months had passed, where Julie, she found something out. And this was after the fact. But she found out that babies like Erica, they usually do not live. In fact, babies like Erica usually die during the childbirth process, if not shortly thereafter. And we're going to go into what's happening here. So for months, her little belly button just never healed. You know how the it usually falls off and all is well. Well, it just would not heal no matter what they did. And then as well, her little forearm started to swell unexpectedly out of nowhere. And Julie and her husband were just confused, like, what is going on? I mean, they'd take little Erica out of her car seat and she'd have bruises everywhere. And it's not like she fell and hit herself or anything like that. So all these things started to happen. They were confused. In addition to that, there started to be blood in little Erica's stool. So they didn't know what that was about either. They take her to the doctor. The doctors are confused. They can't find anything wrong with little Erica. So, I mean, what do you do, right? Well, also during that same time period, they were doing a big move. So her husband, Erica, were moving to Maine. So they moved to Maine and this is all still going on. So they take her to doctors in Maine. Well, a doctor there finally figured out what was going on with Erica. After 2 months of exams and tests and all that, it was found that Erica, she had a diagnosis of a rare form of hemophilia. And there's different forms of it. Erica had the rarest form, which was called Factor VII deficiency. Now, that's a rare form where your blood cannot clot. The clotting factors just aren't there. So what that means is, how when you cut yourself, get a scrape, whatever it is, it scabs up, right? Your clotting factor starts going into play and working. Well, people with this disease, they don't have that. Therefore, the slightest little nick, they can bleed to death. It's a very serious thing. And again, most don't make it past birth with this rare form of this one. So this explained, everything, the blood in the stool, the excessive bruising and all that was going on with little Erica that they didn't know why. And it's said at this time, this was, I believe, the late 80s when this occurred, this story happened. And at that time, it was said only 120 people, 130 max in the U.S. citizens had this disorder and are living. That's not a lot at all. I'd be interested to see what those statistics are like today, because it's been some time, but wow, just 120 people alive at that time with that. That's not very good odds. So because of this unheard of disease, pretty much, there wasn't much info about it. This was before the internet and all that. So you really had to search, go into libraries and that kind of thing and looking at case studies. But unless you're in the medical field, most people don't know how to do all that, understand case studies and whatnot. So where Julie worked now in Maine, her supervisor, he had a wife that was a registered nurse. So he told her about Julie and Erica's situation, and the woman wanted to help. So she spent time over the next few weeks just studying hardcore, looking at case studies, researching through books, all that. To try to help this family. After 2 weeks go by, that supervisor walks by Julie's desk and he just tells her, look, I really wish I had some hopeful information to give you. It's all bad news. He's like, but I think you should have it nonetheless. So he lays the envelope of all the stuff that his wife had printed out, all the information she found, and he gives it to Julie. Now, Julie knows it's bad news already, so she's hesitant. She didn't even want to open it because she's already upset. Opening it to read more bad news is just going to make her more so. So she just doesn't want to do it. But despite not wanting to do it, there was just this nagging in her heart, she says, that she had to open it. And she really needed to open it right then. Like, don't wait for days, do it then. And so that nagging feeling just wouldn't go away. She was curious as well. So she went ahead, she opens the envelope, she starts looking through everything. And of course, she's confused, right? She can't understand all the medical jargon. That's just making, things even worse, that she can't understand what she's reading. However, one case study stood out. Just caught her eye, and she begins to read it. And the case study itself was on an infant that died shortly after birth of a brain hemorrhage. Now, one of his symptoms in that case study was a bulging soft spot. So you know how the babies have the soft spots when they're born? His was bulging, and then he had a hemorrhage and died. He had the same clotting factor 7 that Erica did. So Erica thought about it, and she was like, Well, Erica goes home that night, and the date of this occurring is May 8th, 1990. She goes home, and unfortunately, we're going to find out that Erica does indeed have a brain hemorrhage that very night. And here's what happened. Erica began crying in the night unexpectedly, and they go to check on her. She can't be consoled. Shortly thereafter, Erica begins vomiting. So this scares, obviously, her parents. Julie phones the pediatrician, and he tells her, okay, she's not seizing, she's not having any seizures, anything like that. Julie tells him no. He's like, all right, no seizures, then she's not having a brain hemorrhage. What I want you to do is give her some Pedialyte and call me back in 2 hours to report and let me know. Right after she hangs up the phone, that case study pops into her head that she had read a few hours prior that afternoon. So she's like, She remembers the bulging soft spot. So she goes into Erica's room again and she examines her little head. Sure enough, Erica's soft spot is bulging. She phones the doctor back right away. He tells them to go to the ER, so they rush Erica there. And it is found, indeed, the poor little thing is having a brain hemorrhage. Now, treatment for that, they need to operate. But because she has this condition, they can't. She will surely die, right? So they give her what's called frozen plasma, because what they're trying to do is build up that clotting factor so that they can operate, so that that'll do its thing and she won't bleed out. Okay, but that takes time to build up in your system. So Julie and her husband waited painstakingly 4 long hours. And they're just beside themselves and scared to death and anxiety, the whole 9 yards. And the doctors at one point, they, during that wait, they told the parents that, look, you've got to prepare yourself. This is probably not going to work. In most cases, it doesn't. The building of the clotting factor with the frozen plasma, she's probably going to pass away pretty soon before we can even operate. And so, of course, they're even more devastated now. But Erica pulls through, and the clotting factor begins to do its thing, so doctors are able to go in and operate. And, during that wait, Erica had all the what ifs going through her mind. Oh my gosh, what if this? What if that? What if she hadn't read that case study that afternoon? Then she wouldn't know about the bulging soft spot. And then she would have just done what the doctor said. Wait 2 hours, call me back after the Pedialyte. And Erica would have been gone. So she's just, thinking of all these things going through her mind. And it was a miracle that she saw that study. Another miracle, little Erica pulls through the surgery. Time starts to go by and treatments start to become available for little Erica. So this was great. When Erica got to the age of, where she's starting to learn to walk, that was a very trying time because, of course, parents are going to be kind of, any parent watching their child learn to walk, you got to let them be independent, but you don't want them falling, hurt, hitting their head and all that stuff. So this was just double anxiety for Julie and her husband because while she's walking, little Erica, if she, again, cuts herself, hits herself the wrong way, that could be very fatal. But during that whole time she's learning to walk, Julie and her husband, they say they were in awe of the miracle that was Erica because there were no big injuries or anything like that during that time. Everything went by just fine. They said that sometimes there were close calls, but Erica was always protected. There also was a time when Erica was 5 years old and she was out in the back playing, just with a bat and ball with her grandpa. And so her grandpa's throwing it and she has to reach to try to hit it. In doing so, she slips and she begins to fall. And the way she was falling, she was going to probably hit her head on the concrete. But in the midst of her about to fall, something happens. And Erica remembers this to this day. She's grown now and still remembers this from when she was 5 years old. She says that she felt a strong hand on her back, holding her up so that she wouldn't fall and hit the concrete. And she said it held her there till she was able to kind of regain her balance from falling. And that day, at just 5 years old, she runs inside screaming to her parents how an angel just had saved her. So, I mean, that is another miracle. And just wow, that a 5-year-old would know something like that. That just blows me away. As Erica got older into her teen years, she did miss out on a lot. She couldn't participate in the team sports, things like that. It was just too risky for her condition that she had. But Julie and her husband say they noticed over the years Erica adapt, and she became this just beautiful person. She loved people and she loved helping people. And her mom says she was the best listener and still is to this day. She will sit there and listen to a person just vent or talk. During her whole, childhood through her adult years, she would do that. And there was never a time that she wouldn't direct the person to prayer, to pray about their troubles or about whatever was going on. She knew that at a young age. Her folks, they just know that she is a true miracle. They saw all the miracles happen throughout the years, and they're just seeing what a blessing their daughter is now to others by helping and being a good listener. So just a really neat story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts if you have any. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys for the next one.